Hello everyone, I'm Dalmet. I'm the co-founder of Bear Studio, which is a coding and designing agency. Basically, we sell expertise on design and development. I'm the co-founder also of Pentio, we will discuss a little later. And I'm also co-founder of 4Kids, so thanks everyone, and I hope you will enjoy the full day. And the weather is not so bad today, so maybe we will go to the terrace. I hope, we will see. But first, I want to have a little disclaimer to understand who I am, that I'm a designer that knows how to code. I'm a developer that knows how to design. I have both skills. And why I tell you that, because not a curriculum vitae here. The idea is that in this conference, I will have the both point of view on this. So that's, you can understand why I talk about the two sides on this. But first, 6 months ago, like I said, we are a coding agency. So we ask a simple, very basic question that I think nobody asking today in the industry is, we make money selling code when the agent can code? A very basic question that maybe some of you ask yourself in this time. And I'm sorry, I will not answer this question today. We have some kind of answer, but not all, and that's not the point of this conference. Because trying to answer this question, we understand something different. Like, if the code change, if the way we do code change, then it's not only the coding side that's changing, it's the whole process that is changing. Because before AI, the code was the most valuable stuff. It takes time. It takes very engineer and stuff like that to do even one line of code. But today, it's changing a little. I don't know where we are going on this. This is not the end of this talk. But we thought that the code is not the only bottleneck. Before, most of the time, the bottleneck was on the code. Today, it's changing a little. And let's kill the elephant in the room. I hope it will not be a sell pitch. This is not the idea of the conference. If you feel like that, I'm sorry. But we need to talk about this because we built a software called Panther with AI and stuff like that, for sure. But the idea is to turn ideas and in prototype and specification without having the skill of an engineer. But I hope, I promise, this is not a sell pitch. I will not explain what is Panther. I will explain why we built Panther and why we think Panther or not, what is the journey of discover some stuff. I hope we will see. But first, let's rewind the wheel a little. Because we had a problem long before AI. Problem that every idea is lost in the process. All ideas are there. There is a lot of processing to create a software, and this idea can be lost in the translations. And at every step, you lose a little of the initial needs. So basically, what happened today in very big lines is the business has a need, the user needs something. They're explaining to, let's call it product manager, depending on the world, but you can explain to product manager and designers, depending on the process, stuff like that. And you try to understand this. Sometimes you write some kind of specification. Then a designer today is doing some mockup, some prototype to understand it a little more, so the user can see a little more about it. But not everything, because it's not powerful enough, but we have the idea. Then the development, the engineering part, implement it, build it, and then the feature is shipped in a few weeks, if you are lucky, in a few months, if you are not so much lucky, in a few years, if you are in the too much big company. And I can say that every feature is losing stuff along the way. Not that every feature ships don't answer the need of the user, of course not. But sometimes it's happening, and it's bad. But there is always trade-off and stuff like that. And we are a young industry, but not so young anymore. We are still in 2026. So half a century is more than that. I'm getting old, but we try things. We're not stupid. So we try things for sure. The first one is, instead of going directly to code, we try to write the specification. Having clear scope, clear contract of what we should do before doing anything. It was okay, but the problem is it's obsolete before you even start the first line of code because it takes a long time and nobody reads all of this. So that's the waterfall effect if you want. And it was better than just coding the stuff, but because you have a way to think about it, but not. So we have another solution, a better one, is more thinking about agile user stories. So it's flexible because you don't think all the project at the start, you can adjust during the development. It's more focused on what the user needs more than what we need to do. But it still takes to back for implementation and the user cannot picture it and you need to build it to make sure that is what they want. So we have another solution in Photoshop, Illustrator, Event Design for the holders. It was like doing mockups, statics mockups, so pictures. It helped a lot because you can see a little, but it's like the tip of the iceberg. It's frozen, has no interactivity, and it only shows the happy path because it's very hard to do at the time. So, of course, we build better software for designing. So it's the era of Sketch, Adobe XD, Figma. So now we can have a prototype that we can click. So it feels more interactive. We can prototype flow, not just static screens. It implements also the real-time collaboration, working multiple people on the same project. But it's still far from reality. It's an abstraction layer that is have some issue. I'm a big fan of Figma, but doing prototype, yes, you can have overlay, stuff like that. But when you try to have heavy micro interactivity or heavy flow with a lot of conditional stuff and state and stuff like that, it's very hard to do. But you don't do it. You have a vision of it, and you hope that at the development level it makes sense, and you will fix at the development level if it's too complex. And because it's not the same medium. Another solution that is still working today and is very good is design system. This tries to remove one layer of translation, speaking the same language, the same color, the same token, the same font, the same component, and stuff like that. So it's very good. You're speaking almost the same language, but you need to implement it in the design tools, in the application. It's not the same, so it can shift away and have little issues. Another way to do it is documenting live component, having preview environment, stuff like that, so the designer can see what is in development, so they can adjust. Most of the time, designers don't look at it. I say that because I am, and sometimes I think my prototype in Figma is up to date, but I forgot there is another stuff that didn't go through the prototype process, and it's not up to date. And the other problem is that this documentation, the story and stuff like that, lives in the code, not in the design. So another solution, like I say, I'm a designer and a developer, is to have one person that can do both. So it's easier to translate in the mind because it's the same person. It's faster feedback loop, but it's very rare. And even if you find one in every team, it doesn't scale at the same level. So in this era, before AI, where the product design, and when I say product design, I say product behavior, not the prettiness. There is part of pretty, but for most of the tools, the pretty part is not the most important. The important is the UX of the flow, of the behavior, of how everything should behave for the user. So the goal, for sure, is to take most of our time on the product behavior, thinking about flow, the state, how we should display the information for the user that makes sense in the flow. And pixel pushing the tool and hands-off extension should be solved. But what we expect today with the tool, because we are realistic, is yes, we still take most of the time for the product behavior, but you have tools to manage like Figma and stuff like that, and you hope that this tool will give you enough information so the creating tickets and having meetings stuff like that will be almost nothing. Some, but not almost nothing. But the reality, let's be honest, is when you have to design to think about a feature, when you try to explain the product behavior, you take most of your time creating components in Figma, trying to align the stuff, and you take more time in the tool. That's the product behavior. I don't say that we don't take time on the product behavior as a UX designer. I say that to express something to other, it takes more time in the tooling part than on the behavior part. And even with that, with Figma and stuff like that, it's hard to explain everything in Figma. So you still have to either do meeting, do pair designing with developers who make sure that the ticket is very explicit on all the little edge cases and stuff like that. And that's when you have a designer, because else, if you are a designer, you have the product manager doing what they can in the tool they know. And most of the time is on the meeting specification and tickets. And that's why we always advocate for having a designer in the team to have some visual prototyping stuff like that. Else, you end up like that. But we had no choice. To be honest, it was the best compromise. It was not bad. It's just like that. And not everything can be like you click and you have something. It makes no sense. And I don't think other stuff will be like that. Not even AI, sorry. But yes, it was like that. It was not so bad. It was better than waterfall, having specification only text and implementing and make for 1 year and seeing that is not good. So every step was mandatory to be a compromise between time, cost, and efficiency. And then something happened. A very niche subject. I think nobody talk about it in every conference. I don't know if you heard of it, but AI. I'm sorry. For JavaScript developer a few years ago, we talked about JavaScript fatigue. It was a joke because today AI fatigue is it's like saying you are tired before having a baby. For people that have a baby, they understand the joke. For the one they can imagine. And I'm sorry because today I will add on top of this fatigue. So sorry about that. But so let's rewind a few months ago. Sorry. So like 3 years ago, 7 months ago. I'm sorry. For me, it's like ages ago. I've done a conference in Coderansen or Normandie AI here about talking about UX, AI, tooling, and stuff like that. And for me, Figma was the best compromise at this point. It was fast because I used it for a long time. It was good enough for me to show an ID and stuff like that. And all the tools with AI like V0, Lovable, and stuff like that I try was not trying to answer my question of building step by step. It was trying to have a full application from scratch. That's not my job. I have a real application, real stuff. It's feature by feature. It's not the full prototype and stuff like that. So my conclusion in November was for design, the AI for a lot of stuff, but for prototyping, I will stick with Figma. Then, month after, Opus 4.5 was released by Anthropic. And here I will take the coder part of me because I didn't think about on the UX side because it was a developer tools, code on big. So we tested for development and something changed. We didn't feel like going to the casino and rolling the slot machine every time and hoping for having a result. No, here you have still a little hallucination, but you already ask something to a colleague and he has hallucination work, not doing what you have in mind. But it was more than on this way than making no sense and just don't want to work with it. So, and we would go step by step, and it was very interesting. So it changed a little how we code. And then one agent is good, but when we can ask like, do the translation of this page of Bear Studio, it can take a few minutes, but you don't want to look at it. So you want to run another agent to implement something, and you want to work on something else on the side. So in January, we use Conductor. It's an orchestrator for running multiple agents in parallel. And so one agent works, we can think about something else, run another agent and stuff like that. Still on the coding side. And then expressing a long ID with text, it's maybe just me, but it's more easy for me to talk, to dump what I have in my brain with voice than typing the stuff. When I type something, I feel like there is a little translation layer that I don't know why. I misspell a lot of stuff, but I don't care. But no, just talking like you talk to a colleague, it feels like more natural. So we try Whisperflow. There is a lot of other tools, just all feedback on this. And so it feels like talking to someone a little, and it feels expressing a long ID very, very easily. And then that's where the coding side and the designer side collapse. I saw this video. It was very early in March 2026. A designer at Shopify used Claude, and he said Claude in the terminal, not even with agent and connector and stuff like that. And he showed how he do it, and I was like, okay, maybe we should retry some of the stuff, because even if it's big company and stuff like that, it's the same tool that we have access. Maybe we can test some things. And it was a brain. So I grabbed Johan over there, say tomorrow we'll take the full day trying to prototype only with voice. No Figma, no stuff, only with voice in Cloud. And we tried something, and we tried because we didn't listen to my own talk. We'll launch Whisperflow and explain everything we want in the prototype. It was an Habit prototype, little app, and it takes 5 to 10 minutes, one shot the stuff, and we are like, no, it's not working. It makes no sense. It was sloppy. It's not what we want. It was not bad. To be honest, from far away, it was okay, but it's not what we want. So, and we cannot don't know where how to make a change inside of it, because we didn't make it. So we didn't know how to start, it was complicated. But we say, okay, let's remove everything. Let's start from the start and going like we do in Figma, or like we do even in code and stuff like that. Or when you do to a colleague, trying not to do the application and come back later. We do it step by step. And here, yes, we are going where we want. We can improve. We can do a lot of stuff, just like in code, but without coding. And it was fast, because if you ask little stuff to the AI agent, instead of having to create multiple files of like just changing a few lines in the file, it takes seconds instead of minutes. So we say, okay, maybe it's working. Let's try with a client. So let's say with a real client, a new application, new prototype, very small budget, trying to go in a full prototyping. So no Figma, everything by your voice, complex iteration, animation, state management, everything handled. It was testable on a phone like a real app, because you just have to ask, because we are technical also, to say to the agent, make it PWA, so you can install it like a real application. And you have state. So when user login, you can have this name in the onboarding and stuff like that. So it will feel like real. And the part of me that was hard is don't look at the code. The idea is not to go with this code in production, but I never look at the structure of a file in Figma, and I don't care about it. That's the same idea. I know that we can improve and stuff like that, but here the idea is just try to vehicle an idea. But that it was easy, to be honest. That was a little cheating. It was better than V0 and stuff like that because you can go further, but it was a little cheating. It's a new project. So every new project is easy. It's a small application. So then we try with a client that already have a code base. And because we have agents in code base of the product is in code, we can just ask to get back the UI components, recreate the screen with mock data. And why all of this instead of doing just code in the production code, the design on the production code? Because running the whole environment with development, with database and stuff like that, one is very heavy. And when you ask something to an agent, if you need to ask to add one column in a table, you need to migrate the database, make sure that everything. That's not the point. My point is, I want to see something that is realistic, but I don't want to take 5 minutes to make sure that the migration database is working. Here, I'm a developer, so I don't understand a little, but I don't want that. So here we have the best of the two worlds. We can prototype faster than in the code base, safer than in the code base, because we just have read access to the code base, not write access. And we can prototype like in the real product, because I didn't reproduce one for one because he had access to the code. So here, implementing a feature, it was kind of amazing. And for example, this kind of feature that are very complicated to do in Figma is like filtering stuff. So when you add a filter, it'll open a pop-up with little access, and then you add, it filters some stuff on the header. You can hide, show, colon, and stuff like little stuff that in Figma, you try to make it from far away and hoping that the development and the specification will fill the gaps. But we discover something else, because basically it's LLM, code is text. So everything behavior is in text, basically, so LLM can read it. So you can extract the specification. So you can say, okay, for this filters, very complex stuff, with when you click on somewhere, it should focus on this part and stuff like that. Something that even you cannot do it in Figma. And even if you do it in some stuff, it's hard to see for someone that didn't do the prototype, but the AI can explain, okay, when you click on this, you should focus the first field of this element, for example, and explain it. So you can read it, say, makes sense, fix the prototype if you saw that, oh, maybe I have an idea, or you have either a prototype, which is code, you have a prototype that is visually, so you can see the user, and you have specification that a human can read, and an agent can read also. So that's why I feel like magic. And the only problem of all of this is I was a designer and a developer, like I said. So my Mac is filled with Node, PNPM, Git, install, and stuff like that. But when we try to have the same process with a designer that never code, it was like, oh yes, you need to log into yes, your Git should have the name and the email, because now in the end you cannot commit. So yes, you need to install PNPM because it's coming from its PNPM. Yes, you need to have this and this and this and this and this. And at the end, it was sticking all the tools together. So yes, you need to have conductor. Yes, you need to have cloud code. But yes. If there is a problem, you should ask them to merge conflict. And all of this was like a pain. So that's why we built Puncture. And because our idea is not built for developers already have the tools, but for people that are not technical. So abstract all the technical. And that's what all for Puncture are. If you want to talk about it, we have a stand, but that's. But what changed? That's okay, cool. You have a new tool like everyone in the AI era. Yes, but for us, what changed is that I think anyone can prototype. And we thought that not even with Puncture, everyone, our client trying, our product manager trying to go to cloud design, to Lovable, to V0, stuff like that. But all of this make easier to express an idea for people that cannot, like, don't understand Figma. I don't want to learn Figma and component and main component and stuff like that. How to detach a component. That's about. And I think that will change, that anyone can prototype an idea. anyone that has something in mind can express it. I don't say that the idea is good, but I think we can. And for people that already know how to design in Figma, like myself, I feel like it's way simpler. It's when you have something to change in mind, you can ask, and even like redo all the navigation and stuff like that. You can do it in a branch, 5, 10, 15 minutes, having looked at it. Okay, it's good, refine it. No, it's not good, doing something else. Something that you sometimes take time to do, but sometimes your hierarchy is not very aware of that. You do it on the side because you have an idea, but it takes time. So do it here. You can test something very fast, and that's different. And also, prototype is code, production is code, so you can sync, get back. If something didn't go through the prototype process, it's easy to say, okay, get back this feature, mock it, and give it in my prototype, without having to have a designer redo all the screens. In this, just to change 2 fields or changing one effect on the drag and drop. I said that because I do it yesterday. Like, there is the screen that I was not in prototype. I ask an agent to give him back the screens. And so now, instead of having to drop all the file only on the button, you can drop the file on the full area and see the visual feedback how it should be. I can do it in Figma for sure, but yeah, the behavior of all the steps, I can test it. And then when it's go, the engineers know exactly how to do it and implement with the right library and wrote the right stuff. And so, and technically we could always do prototyping code. It's not something new. And sometimes we've done it. It's too much time. It's too much money. The wrong person had to do it. Either it's in code, but sometimes the developer, someone should explain what to do. And this is not the same person who code and have the ID. And even when it's in Figma, sometimes it's the designer that have the ID, so it makes sense that it's in Figma. But when it's just a PM having something, it needs to ask to a designer to do it. So what is still uncertain in the future is the cost of AI. I agree. Have all this in mind, that the token cost can add up very fast. If the pricing is shifting, the model change. Some API that you liked, the model disappears from one day to another, and then a new model more smart arrive, but it costs most. So what do you do? And you cannot make the difference between, is it smart enough to pay more? That's the only hope that I have, and is for the last few weeks, I replace Cloud Code in prototyping with Qwen 3.6 Plus via Open Code Go. But Open Code Go is just a provider. But Qwen is an open model. It's an open source model that you can run and hide the same behavior and the same feeling with the Opus 4.5, 4.6 that for prototyping is more than enough. So there is hope on this side, but let's see. And another part is AI changed so fast that it's very hard to change the process. When you do stuff in a way, even if the other way is better, it's very hard to change. You have to deeply understand the value, test it, because I think that will be the major trend. But I think the industry will shift, but at which speed, I don't know. But what's the thing that I'm certain is the product design, like the way to think about a product, to design a product, has changed. That for sure. Because today, before AI, it's still slow. It was faster than before, but it's objectively, it's just that we didn't have a choice, but it's slow. We have to translate in multiple abstraction layers, and so it's expensive also because you need to have a Figma designer, people that know Figma very well to do a prototype in Figma, and basically that's the way designing. Or you have someone to know to develop, to do the prototyping code. So you need this person at every time, and this by experience. if the designer is not available because on something else, you cannot express something very basic and you wait in the line. So sometimes you're blocked, sometimes you bypass this way. So you cannot see and you go, hey, let's go to develop directly. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. And I think AI will not solve everything. AI will solve the way that is fast. You don't have you skip the abstraction layer because you speak in natural language. You handle one abstraction layer that is the same as production. It's cheaper. I don't say AI is cheap. I say it's cheaper. So because you don't need to have the expert for every step. And you don't have the bottleneck. It's always available when there is no downtime at Anthropic or OpenAI, but you have a local model. But no, you don't have the bottleneck of waiting for someone just to express the idea. But I think you still need to decide what to build. That's for sure. And for me, product manager, designer, engineers will still be there. Will still be, because you need someone to care about the stuff. But no, I think the product manager can care about what they want, like the business, the needs and stuff like that, to understand well, to make sure everything is working. The designer can focus only on the ergonomics and UX and not reading all the spec of the product manager, trying to reproduce and, oh, I forgot the line 3, so I need to redo everything. And the engineers will not fill the gap. It will just make sure that, yes, build this for production. So finally, all experts can focus on their pieces. And I think that's all for me. Thanks a lot.